The collapse of the US dollar is a concern that a lot of people have right now, and rightfully so. The headlines everywhere right now are dollar decline or dollar collapse, or dollar to fall in 2023. The US dollar has been the dominant currency in the world for decades, but its supremacy is now being challenged by other currencies. In this video, we'll be exploring why this is happening, what the implications are for the global economy, and if you should be concerned at all. Let's start with the history of the US dollar's dominance. The US dollar became the world's dominant currency after World War II. The Bretton Woods Agreement was signed, which made the US dollar the reserve currency of the world. This meant that other countries had to hold US dollars to facilitate international trade. This gave the US dollar a significant advantage in the economy, and it's maintained that until now. Recently, the outbreak of war between Ukraine and Russia has countries lining up backup currencies to trade with. And of these currencies, the one that's most bought up right now is the Chinese yen. Countries like Brazil, Argentina, Iran, and Russia have all increased their stockpiles of Chinese yen. This shift from the dollar to the yen was emphasized even more when on April 14th in 2023, Brazil and China signed a trade deal that would allow them to avoid using the US dollar in trade. However, this is nothing new, as countries like Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, India, and Iran have been slowly moving away from the US dollar for decades. The shift is driven by their desire to reduce their reliance on US-dominated financial systems and the economy. And their goal is to overall improve their independence in their own financial systems and economies. One way countries are reducing their dependence on the US dollar is by promoting the use of their own currencies for international trade. For example, China has been promoting the use of yen when it comes to their trading, and Brazil has been encouraging the use of their own currency when it comes to trading with other Latin American countries. This is because holding large amounts of US dollars exposes them to risks and fluctuations in the US market that they don't want anymore, as it can have significant financial and economic impacts in their own countries. Some countries are also exploring ways to settle international transactions that do not involve using the US-dominated financial systems. For example, China has developed its own cross-border payment system known as the Cross-Border Interbank Payment System. Overall, the move away from the US dollar reflects a desire to move away from the influence of the US when it comes to economic and financial influence. Now let's talk about the US dollar's #1 competitor, none other than the Chinese yen. Over the past few years, its prominence has been steadily rising. China is the world's second largest economy, and as it continues to grow, its currency is more widely used in trade. In fact, some experts project that China's economy will surpass the US by 2030. So what does this mean for the global economy? The possible decline of the US dollar has significant implications for the economy. As other currencies are more widely used, the US dollar's dominance will diminish, which would lead to a decline in the amount of US dollars demanded, thus causing the US dollar to fall in value. It could also lead to a shift in power away from the US and over to another country such as China. So now that we've talked about all this information, should you be worried? And although this information may have seemed daunting, the reality is that the US dollar is still considered by the majority of countries to still be the reserve currency of the world. And this has no intentions of changing. The information that we just talked about is really nothing new, as for the past decade, China has been trying to slowly move away from the US dollar. And as it stands now, there's really no other currency that could compete with the US dollar. Like, not even close. No currency is even close to being as widely used. There would have to be numerous black swan events and perfectly sequenced financial and economic catastrophes to really push the US dollar over the edge. And even if it does happen to happen, it would be a slow and gradual change. You would not just wake up one morning and find out that all your money is worthless. So in conclusion, yes, the US dollar is being traded less and less, and it's having more competition. However, I personally believe that the US dollar is not going anywhere anytime soon, and the average person should not be losing sleep over this. Instead, focus on things that you can control, like how much you're investing, how much you're saving, and achieving your financial goals. That way, even if it does happen to happen, you're in a much better position to weather the storm. That's about all I have for you guys today, so make sure to like and subscribe as it really helps out the channel, and until next time.